Hey friends, it's Rana and I'm here today to review The Wave Kings, the first book in the Stormlight archive by Brandon Sanderson. A few years back I read Mistborn First Era and I adored it. It is one of my favorite fantasy books ever. But what really took me this long to finally start the Stormlight archive is just the sheer size of it. Each book in the series is over 1000 pages and they are so chunky they decided to split each one into two parts, the first part and the second part. And the fact that it is an unfinished series, it's going to be 10 book series, but only 4 are out right now, and I really like to read fantasy series that are already completed. That's why I was very hesitant and intimidated to read the series, but I finally budged and started the first one, The Wave Kings. This one, The Wave Kings, took me exactly 1 month to finish reading. So what is it really about? It is a high fantasy series following multiple characters, but we mainly focus on 4 in the first book. We have Kaladin, Shallan, Zeth, and Dalinar. And I'm sorry if I butchered these names because is it really a fantasy book if it doesn't have very weird and unique names? The book starts with Zeth attempting and succeeding in assassinating the king Gavilar Colin in an epic scene that was perfect to start the book with. The king Gavilar, he was the king of Alethkar, and some type of creatures, a race of creatures called the Prashandi, we don't really know much about yet. They claim that they are the ones behind the assassination of King Gavilar. So his son declared war against the Prashandi, and most of the war take place on a place called the Shattered Plains. In the Shattered Plains, we have Kaladin. He is a slave who was bought by the army with other slaves to become bridgemen, the lowest of the lowest rank in the military, where they are supposed to carry bridges. They march carrying bridges on their backs for soldiers to be able to use to cross over chasms. Also in the Shattered Plains, in the war camps, we follow Dalinar. He is the uncle of the current King Elhokar and the brother of the late King Gavilar. He is a widower and he has 2 sons, and weird things has been happening to him recently where he have and sees very vivid visions of people back in the past. These visions only happen when a high storm occurs. And our 4th main character, we have Shallan. She is a light eyed. Light eyes are people with light eyes who are considered of high rank and they work in positions, in very high positions in the country, unlike dark eyes who are people with dark eyes and they work mainly in low rank jobs like soldiers, farmers, etc. Shallan travels to another country to convince Jasna, who is the daughter of the late King Gavilar. I know, there are many characters, but it is easy to distinguish between them. It is not that hard. Anyway, she tries to convince Jasna to take her as an apprentice to teach her things. But her real intentions, Shallan's real intentions, are to steal Jasna's Soulcaster. Soulcaster is a very powerful artifact that she wants to steal to use it to make wealth for her family and to save her family from disaster. These are the 4 main characters, and the main idea of the plot centers around the war between the Elathi and the Prashandi. But the book is way more than that. It is a 1000 plus pages book, which is obviously contains more than that, from world building to magic system to other shenanigans and side characters that I won't be mentioning here and now. Now, what are my thoughts on this book? Well, it is obvious that it is a first book in a fantasy series that will be 10 books long. What I mean is, there's a whole lot of exposition and world building, and we as readers don't know much, or we don't fully understand the magic system or what is going on exactly. Yeah, it is cool reading about Stormlight, Shard Plates, and Shard Blades, but I want to know more about them and to get into the nitty-gritty of how they work and how they were built. In addition, we have Sprints. We don't know much about the nature of Sprints. They are like fairy-like creatures that appear next to things or with things, like wind sprints, glory sprints, rot sprints, and rain sprints. And Syl is an unusual sprint that follows and helps Kaladin, unlike the usual nature of sprints. She is a mystery to us still. We don't know much about her. We don't know where did she come from. How can she help Kaladin as much as she does? Even though she is a complete mystery to us, I really, really love her. She is one of my favorite characters alongside Kaladin and Rock. Speaking of Kaladin, his parts were my favorite to read. I really enjoyed reading about his past, his family, and his relationship with the other crew members of Bridge 4. I loved seeing how he slowly but surely gained their trust and respect and ended up training them. As for Shallan's parts, I didn't enjoy them that much. I don't know why. Maybe I'll grow to like her more in future books. Fingers crossed. As for Dallar's parts, they were okay. I'm honestly not a big fan of reading about political intrigue. That's why they were the hardest for me to get through. Now, you may ask me, did I enjoy this book after all? Yes, I did. I actually give both the first part and the second part 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I know it may sound shocking for you because it was for me. I expected to give this book 5 stars out of 5, but I didn't. It is a great book, don't get me wrong, but it was slow as hell. It was the slowest book I ever read in a while. Maybe because I didn't read that much high and epic fantasy in my life. I'm trying to change that, but I found it to be very slow and I kept comparing it to Mistborn First Era. That series was perfect for me. I loved the that it was full of action. I was more interested in the magic system there, and I was blown away with all the twists and reveals there that I didn't find in The Way of Kings. I expected The Way of Kings to be similar to Mistborn, but it was completely different. Brandon Sanderson is a phenomenal author, and I know all of this will pay off later. Maybe when I read the following books in the series, I will appreciate the first one more and I will see what he did, what gems he put in the first book for us to later on understand. Maybe then I will come back and pump the rating of this book into 5 stars, but for now it will be a high 4 stars from me. I'm taking now a short break before I start the second book, Words of Radiance, because I know that Words of Radiance will probably take me also a month to start and finish, and I want to squeeze some short light reads between each installment of the Stormlight archive so I won't burn out myself reading them back to back. So that's it for today's video. I hope you liked it. Please subscribe to see my future videos and I will see you next time. Bye!